There's so many ways that you can evaluate your own opportunity set. And I picked two vectors here, financial flexibility and risk appetite. The reason I picked those two is because of the hundreds of people I talk to every year who come to me and say, I want to start a company or I want to be working at a startup. After about 2 minutes, it's obvious that they're never going to do it. And it's because the realities of life pop in, and when I ask them, okay, well, are you okay with foregoing salary for 2 years? And they look at me horrified. And they're like, well, no, how will I pay for my bills? And I'm like, well, that's a good question, I don't know. They feel often like you can do something on the side. So I'm gonna keep my job at Google, but I'm gonna do this thing on the side, and then when it goes really big, then I'll quit my job and then I'll switch over. So that is a genius idea that I've tried too, but it really doesn't work. Like, how can you have this amazing breakout idea if you have 1 foot out and 1 foot in? You don't have enough time or energy. I mean, it takes so much time to make it successful. Even if someone's working 100 hours a week on their idea, most of the time it's not successful. How is it going to be if it's only 20 hours a week? And so I think that the financial flexibility is the sort of real, like, rubber meets the road. You need to ask yourself if now is the time for you to really be entrepreneurial. And the risk appetite is an interesting one because there's just the risk appetite of, quitting your job and not knowing what you're going to go do, figuring out that 99.9% of all startups are going to fail. So if you're going to join one or start one yourself, are you okay with failure? Those are sort of the natural risk appetite sort of things that come to mind. But then there's also just the daily risk appetite. Do you feel anxious when you go to work and you have no idea what you're supposed to do today? Do you feel nervous if you don't know what success looks like and you don't know if you can hit the mark and get an A? Because there's no grades in entrepreneurship. You have no idea what you're doing. You have to create your own goals and milestones, and you still, even if you meet the milestones are always moving. And so I think that that's where a lot of people start to get really fatigued from being in the entrepreneurial ecosystem, where they just feel like, gosh, I just want to go somewhere where I know what it looks like to be a rock star, and then I can go do that. And it feels better to be able to accomplish that. And so it's not a surprise how these all fit onto the map. Low is that if you work at a big company, you get a nice big salary, you know where you're going, you know what success looks like, you have a management team. And then all the way up to founder is where you have high risk, potentially high reward, but ultimately extremely high need to have flexibility financially. I think everyone only thinks about founders as being like the breakout success billionaires. Not the case. Most people, I would say, make less than $80,000. Of all the founders in my portfolio, founders are the first people that forego their salary when the cash runs thin. They're the last people to get a raise. I mean, it really is something that is all-encompassing, and it's really hard on you and your family, most importantly, because many times it doesn't work out. So you've done 5 years of your life dedicating to this company that doesn't work out. What is that going to feel like to you, and is that okay?